So today we're going to be checking out filming locations for another one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies, Valley Girl. This movie is definitely underrated and a total classic from 1983. I'm really excited to check out these filming locations, so let's see what we can find. I'm at Del Amo Fashion Center, and this is where they did those interior mall shots. Now let me tell you a quick story. My wife and I actually moved to this area maybe 12 or 13 years ago. We lived here for many years, and once we moved to this area, we started coming to this mall quite often. I'm a little embarrassed to say that at the time, I actually had no idea that this is where they did the mall scenes for Valley Girl. One night, my wife and I are at home, we're watching Valley Girl for the 900th time. All of a sudden, we look at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, is that Del Amo Mall? The next day we come here to the mall and there it is. I mean, it looked like it was frozen in time, completely untouched from the 80s. Hot dog on a stick was in the exact same place. Chick-fil-A was in the exact same place. The table and chairs that they sat at were right there in front of Hot Dog on a Stick. Now, the really sad thing that I regret so much was that I took no video and only a couple of blurry photos. We came to the mall and that whole section of the mall was blocked off, and we found out that they were about to start construction. They were remodeling the entire mall. They moved the food court to the other side of the mall. It looks nothing like it did where the food court used to be. It's just a bunch of shops now. Now there is one thing that was used in Valley Girl that's still in this mall, and we're gonna go right now and see if we can take a look at it. So for whatever reason, this entrance is closed right now and I can't actually get inside the lobby, but as you can see, that's the escalator that Julie and her friends are riding down when she sees Tommy coming up the other side. Tommy comes down and they have a talk in front of the escalators. She breaks up with them, hands him the bracelet, and walks out the door. And then Tommy says,
"Who else is there? Oh, the Val dude can touch me. I mean, she must be really freaking out."
Julie's friends are waiting for her outside as she walks out the door that used to be right here. And then of course we see the parking garage in the background behind them. I really wish they didn't update it with these new automatic doors, because if you look in that scene, the doors have these big brass door handles that say Del Amo Fashion Center. Man, I bet they're just sitting in a box somewhere collecting dust. So although everything around the escalator has been remodeled and updated, it's great that we still have that same escalator and the lobby where that scene takes place. This is the beach where Julie and her friends are laid out, and Julie and Randy see each other for the very first time.
Yeah, check out those pecs.
How do I know that this is the spot? Because of that building right there. I'm on the west side of the San Fernando Valley, and it's very cold and very windy today, but this house behind me here, this is Susie's house. Of course, not just the party, but so many things happen at this house. Now, from everything I've read, from everything I've heard, the party was actually shot inside this house. All the interior shots were done here. The backyard scene was shot here where Skip's talking to Susie's stepmom. I mean, when you think about it, so much cool stuff happened right here at this house. This is where Randy has his first encounter with Julie. This is where Randy has his first encounter with Tommy before getting thrown out on the front lawn right there. Upstairs there, that's where Tommy hooks up with Dottie. Dottie! And later on, this is where Skip comes back and has his hookup with Susie. So as you can see, the house looks almost exactly the same. It's got a new roof, they repainted the trim, but other than that, same house. Different doors, but the brickwork's all the same. It still has that big porch light right there on the side. It's a different mailbox here in the front. Now, after Randy and Fred leave the party, they come back and they pull the car right into the driveway right here, kind of at an angle. And then that's when Randy sneaks up into the bathroom and hides in the shower. Julie and Stacy come out the front door and walk right down this path, and they see Randy and Fred right here in the driveway, leaning up against their car, which would have been parked right here. When Skip delivers the groceries to Susie's stepmom, he goes right through that gate on the side to deliver her the groceries. We see Skip riding his bike down this street as he's on his way to Susie's house. He stops right here and he starts to turn his bike around and leave, but then he comes back and he stops right here in front of this gate and stares at Susie's house before finally heading up to the front door and going inside. As they come into Hollywood, they come down Vine off of Franklin, headed towards Yucca Street. If you look really hard in the shot, you can just barely see the Capitol Records building here on the left, but you can definitely see the building just past Capitol Records and that Broadway building on the right. They passed by the Chinese theater here. We see that they are playing Officer and a Gentleman, and right across the street, they're playing Empire Strikes Back. They drive past the Rainbow and the Roxy. And then the camera pans this way and shows the Sunset Doheny Motel, which is no longer there. Okay, right here at the body shop, this is where Randy sees his buddy Harvey, and he questions him about getting the mohawk.
Hey, Harvey! Harvey! I thought you were gonna get the mohawk! Nah, pushed out.
Right there. And then the camera pans over and looks east down Sunset. And as you can see, there's no longer a burger stand attached to the Adult Entertainment Club. Right about there, that's where the burger stand would have been that Harvey is standing at. They pull up here to the corner of Hollywood and Las Palmas. You can see Frank and Musso's on the left and the supply sergeant right here on the right. Looking west down Hollywood Boulevard with the old Fredericks of Hollywood building. Right up there where that billboard is, that's where that giant Coca-Cola billboard is in the movie. At this building right here, you can see all those windows in the shot. Down here is where that toy shop would have been. The punk hanging out right here. Sid lives. The building that they used for the exterior of the nightclub would have been located right here on Cahuenga Boulevard. Now it's just a big parking lot. These apartments can be seen in the background later in the movie when Randy's stumbling into the nightclub. Of course, we see the exterior of this building again later in the movie when Randy comes out of the club intoxicated and he comes stumbling out onto the sidewalk and he gets into the altercation with the lowriders. These buildings across the street can be seen, especially this building here, which used to be the TikTok restaurant. However, those interior shots of the club were done right here at the Viper Room. Nowadays, you enter on the side of the building and you walk up a flight of steps, but in the movie, they walk through this door, which is no longer a door, and they walk alongside the bar, which is located right here on the left side. In the background, you can see the Plimsolls playing on the stage behind them, which is located on the right side of the building, right here in the corner. Now, I've played at the Viper Room many times, and I can tell you, it pretty much still looks the same in there, except for there's not a bunch of tables and chairs. This is Hollywood High School. And although we never actually see this building in the movie, Randy does say to Julie,
Hollywood! I go to Hollywood High!
I just thought I'd show it to you guys in case you'd never been to Hollywood and you were curious what it looked like. So this is Julie's house. From what I've heard, a tree fell on the house. You see right there where the tree fell on the house. And the house has been like this for quite some time. I think it's abandoned. Right over here, this would have been Julie's bedroom where she looks out and she sees Randy sleeping on the lawn right here. That great scene happens right here where Randy's standing at the front door having that talk with Julie before heading down the path here, standing out in the street yelling back at the house. And of course, later in the movie, we see Julie walk out the front door and down this path before getting into the car that was parked right here waiting to take her to school, and before Randy jumps in the back seat. Some of these houses across the street can be seen in a couple of different scenes. I'm really hoping that they don't tear this house down. I hope they just end up repairing it, but like I said, it's been like this for a really long time, so who knows. This whole area here was Nephi High. It shut down in the 80s and was eventually torn down and replaced by all these industrial buildings. Nephi High was the location where they had the driver's ed class, where they weren't paying attention and the driver's ed teacher eventually jumped out of the car. And of course, the driver's ed teacher was played by Les Nessman from WKRP in Cincinnati. So the first time Randy sees Julie after the party is here at her parents' health food store. This was the store that her parents owned and Julie worked at In real life, it was a health food store at the time. Now, I've been by here probably within the last couple of months, and it was actually a different restaurant the last time I came by here. And at that time, it looked exactly like it did in the movie. When I showed up today, I was kind of surprised to find out that it was now a new restaurant and they added this red awning. And besides that red awning and the sign up there, it looks exactly like it did in the movie. Sadly, the Dupar's restaurant that we see Randy and Julie go to and they walk by on their date is now gone. It's a Sephora makeup store. And then later in the movie, this is where Julie and Tommy get back together. If you remember, he puts that bracelet on her that instantly falls off before devouring her cheeseburger. I mean, I gotta be honest, I only ate at this Dupar's one time, and I wasn't very impressed with the food. And there was only one other person in the restaurant besides me and my party, and it was Tatiana Ali from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Casa Vega restaurant on the corner of Fulton and Ventura Boulevard. We see them walk right by that sign. This was Encino Bowl, one of the signs that we see Randy and Julie walk past. This is where the Sherman movie theater was. We see Randy and Julie walk by here. It happens to be playing Romeo and Juliet, and they stop right in front of the theater to have a kiss. Later in the movie, Julie and Tommy go on a date here, and Randy is the ticket taker.
Oh, bitchin', is this in 3D? No, but your face is.
Okay, this is Harvard Westlake Private School. And right here, this is where the Valley Prom takes place. Right here in this building. The limo would have pulled up right there and dropped off Tommy. And okay, security's pulling up to me. So my time there at the Valley Prom location was very limited. The Harvard Westlake security quickly chased me off the property, but as you saw, the building still looks exactly the same, so that's really cool. After Randy fights Tommy at the prom and steals his limo, they move this way down Ventura Boulevard, and the limo stops right here at this intersection. This big building here on the corner, this was Denny's, but that white building there, that's the same building that you see behind the Denny's restaurant. They get on the 405 right here, and we see the Sherman Oaks Galleria right there, and the credits roll. I had so much fun putting these locations together for you guys, but I gotta say, it was kind of a bummer realizing how many of the Valley Girl locations are either completely gone or have changed so much, and some of them in such recent times. I mean, the tree falling on Julie's house happened in 2018. Dupar's restaurant closed down in 2018. The mall food court got remodeled maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So it's just starting to feel like sooner or later there's going to be no Valley Girl filming locations left. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Go right now and click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.